Today's video, we're going to talk about tips for switching from manual over to smart bidding. Maximize conversion value bidding strategies on Google safely and for maximum profit. That means there's no slack or inefficiency in your campaign. So over the first 12 months of running your campaign, you've got the absolute maximum profit out of that campaign. Okay, this is one of the most asked questions on this channel in the comment section that I get. Corey, do I need 10 conversions before I switch over to smart bidding? Do I need 20? Do I need 50? Ultimately, it does vary on your situation. I will explain what those variables are though. There's not that many of them. But definitely once you have the information I'm going to present here, you'll know exactly what to do in your situation as well. For that matter, I'm going to explain how much more money you're going to make if you go ahead and you use this information to your advantage as well as why. Why is it that you are going to always start out with manual bidding if you want the most money out of your campaign? And I would know because I've ran thousands of campaigns now over the last 10 plus years of running this agency, and then switching over to smart bidding at the peak pivotal time for your business type, for your campaign type. So I will go over that in a little bit more. Before I do get into that though, if you do not know who I am yet, I am Corey Ziman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in the profitability, basically in excess of the management fees that we charge at our agency. We are the only agency out there doing this, so that should tell you something about the quality of the information that's presented to you on this video. So with that said, getting into it. How many conversions do you first of all need before switching over to smart bidding? This is the golden question that I hear over and over again on this channel. Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it 30? Is it 100? Ultimately, if you're using smart or manual bidding, which you should always start out with, like I mentioned before, and I'll explain a bit more why you're going to do this, and you're going to switch over to or maximize conversion value bidding strategy. What you will want as a minimum conversions will depend on the niche size that you're in. The smaller the niche, earlier you could switch. And I want to clarify here as well. Oftentimes I talk about single keyword ad group campaigns and doing those kind of campaigns targeting different locations separately. So even if we have a national service company where we do product design services, we're going to run that campaign, one campaign for each state in the US. Why? Because we can put the name of the state in the ad and the landing page. And that'll increase our profitability at least double doing that, if not triple. One of my favorite secret weapons that we have. In that type of situation, because each campaign have the same keywords, we don't need each campaign to have XYZ number of conversions. It's just all of the campaigns that have those same keywords will need this certain minimum amount of conversion. So I wanted to clarify that right up front. That said, also, the smaller the niche, the less conversions you need before switching over, because less competition means less ramp-up time needed as well. And there's less ramp-up time needed because the purpose of manual bidding at the beginning is to get campaigns running full speed so that you basically, using a tool like iSearchFrom.com, you go ahead and you're able to see your ad consistently show up for all your keywords, which is the best way to see if it actually shows up, by the way. And it's running full time, full blast, however you want to say it. At that time, you're basically switching over. And you still need some conversion data to switch over still, even if it shows up full time. But your ad struggles to get shown in more competitive markets. Like if you're in one of the most competitive markets still to this day that I know of is restoration services, water damage restoration services, where you're trying to get people to call you about having their basement flooded and have somebody come out. Why? Because anybody can do this. And there's all kinds of scalpers who try to run ads, get the call, sell the call to somebody else for a little bit more than they paid for the call. And ultimately you just need somebody answering the phone, take the call. The call sells for $1,000 or whatever. And so tons of scalpers running the ads and so forth. In a market like that, it could take a year plus before your ad consistently shows up at the top of Google. And I do mean literally a year plus, 18 months, 24 months before it's consistently plastered at the top of Google, because there's literally 25 other companies cycling in and out of those 4 spots. If you look at the auction insights on your campaign, you will literally see this because Google does give you this data, at least in a bigger city like Dallas or Denver or something like that. So what you're really doing when you start out your your campaign as you're fighting your way into the ad spots. Google's not going to make any kind of big bets on you at first. They're going to test you out very, very slowly. Maybe you get 1% of the impression share. And then if you're doing seemingly pretty good, i.e. better than the competition on your click-through rate and your conversion rate, you get 2%. Then they'll test you out at 2%, and then 3%. You have to climb your way to the top of that market just like anybody else entering. I don't care how good your ads are, because computer systems that measure this don't know what anything that if it's good or bad until they measure it across the board and on each keyword. So it can take forever, essentially. Conversely, if you're in a market where you have a product that's seemingly 10 times better than the competition and there's only 2 or 3 guys doing it, you can actually get consistently shown in 30 days already. With that said, it's less important to run the campaigns with manual bidding at the beginning for longer, given you'll probably show up pretty consistently right away. And in that situation, once I just get a few conversions going, I'm going to switch it over to smart bidding. Why? Because smart bidding in general will basically it'll get my ad to show up for people that that they know is likely to turn into a conversion. And the way that they know this is they monitor everything a person does before they make the search, so that ultimately they understand whose ad should be shown. And when your campaign's optimizing for conversions, it'll have your ad show more aggressively where people that are likely to convert into a conversion for you and less not, versus ultimately with manual bidding, it's not optimizing that way. And so therefore you're going to make more money with smart bidding or maximize conversion value bidding strategies. It's just it doesn't work very well with 0 conversions. You just need some conversions. The more competitive a market it is, the more conversions you basically need to switch over to smart bidding and have the campaign not go down in impressions right away, because ultimately the competitors' ads that are running have had hundreds, if not thousands, of conversions already to look at. And you with 2 or 3 conversions, Google system's saying, I know this other guy's ads really well. I'm just going to, run theirs instead. But if there's, maybe 2 competitors and there's 4 ads at the top of Google that they can show, that factor is not a factor anymore. So ultimately, it's not going to cause your ad to go down in impressions just because you only have 2 or 3 conversions. And they may even still have hundreds, if not thousands of conversions themselves. But there's so much less competition. They don't have the liberty to pick and choose who they're going to show as much. So therefore, you don't need as many conversions. Hopefully that all kind of makes sense. There's some other factors involved here if it wasn't complicated enough. So if you switch too late, you're going to just know that you're going to lose a ton of sales midterm, because smart bidding always makes more money than manual bidding. I don't care what you say, what you tell me. I've ran thousands of campaigns now. I know this. I fought against it for years myself, saying, I can do manual bidding better than the competition. I can use bid adjustments and make bid adjustments on audience levels and device levels and age levels and gender levels and and better than any algorithm. I know my customer better than the algorithm. The reality is the algorithms have gotten so good. Google's dumped millions, if not billions of dollars into their algorithm that runs the ads. They can understand humans on a level that I can't ever comprehend. They'll say, when somebody scratches their ass on Tuesday, they're a great candidate to be a customer. Let's have their ad show up 3 times more likely in this situation. And you just can't do that with manual bidding. People use manual bidding, of course, because they like control. People don't like what they can't control. And it gives the person control, that it does, but you're losing the opportunity where Google's algorithm picks up on these weird trends in your market about who buys and who doesn't buy, and who buys specifically from you. A guy buys from you, maybe he's a fat guy in his 20s. Well, you're not going to ever know this. And ultimately, therefore, you're going to get more conversions with smart bidding. So the longer you wait to switch over to smart bidding, assuming that it's not going to tank your impressions when you do switch over, the more money you're leaving on the table during that first 12 months or whatever that you're running your campaigns, because you could have switched over sooner, if that makes sense. Similar to that, if you switch too early to smart bidding, you lose tons of sales short term because your impressions are not going to be nearly as strong for your campaign, given that Google's going to prefer to show the other guys with more conversion data versus your piddly little bit of conversion data that you have. Whereas with manual bidding, what you do is you bid really aggressively on your keyword bids to kind of force the system to show your ads. What I like to do, and with manual bidding, what we'll do right away when we launch a campaign is we'll select all the keywords and then raise the keyword bids to whatever bid we need to get to the first page bid estimate. So that the ads or the keywords are not showing that, bid too low under the status column. Once we do that, I'll come back a couple days later and I'll see how many impressions I got. If I don't have enough impressions to spend my starting ad budget, then I'll go ahead and double the keyword bids. I'll select all the keywords, click edit, and then change bids, and then raise bids by 100%. Then I'll come back a few days later again and I'll see if I've got enough impressions to spend my budget. If not, I'll go in there and do the same thing again and again and again until the campaign damn well spends my full budget and it's rocking and rolling. This is basically just like a little shot in the arm, basically, to your campaigns to get the thing going. Because in pretty competitive markets, like we just had a client in home remodeling. We were in a pretty big metro area like New York City. It's one of those markets that's very competitive because, again, you have scalpers that are buying leads, selling them to other companies. There's just a lot of companies that live and die off of Google. So ultimately, we started the ads, and I had to do that, raise the bids 4 or 5 times before we got our ads to really consistently show. And even then, it took 30 days before the ads really show consistently. So that's the type of market where we really had to do this. However, in a lot of markets, we don't have to raise the bids even once. You just put the bid, make sure that the keywords say that they're eligible to show once, and you're done. So the manual bidding really helps out, particularly in competitive markets, get your ad initially shown. Whereas if we would have just put, a maximized conversion right away, conversion data, it just would have never got shown. But as a small side, a lot of guys say, well, but Corey, why manual bidding? How about maximize clicks? How about target impression share? And I made some other separate videos about this. You can search on my channel homepage in the search bar for target impression share bidding, maximize clicks, and get more detailed information on these particular 2 different bidding strategy types. But the short of it is maximum clicks. Google's going to get you a lot of clicks. You're all right, but it's going to be clicks, as at least what I've noticed, on the type of searches you don't want to show up for, the less competitive searches. So instead of having, it'd be nice to just have maximized clicks and it just gets you clicks on exactly what you want, but that's not what happens. You can get clicks on more so what you want, that is your keywords you're bidding on, when you use manual bidding and you just raise the cost per click, versus with maximized clicks, it kind of goes broader. And then with target impression share bidding, it's no, magic, thing. Like we've had campaigns that were struggling to get clicks before we put on target impression share bidding, and it just doesn't get shown. It's not like having the manual bidding and having that ability to double the bids over and over again until it finally gets shown. And you may say, well, I don't want to have to bid $200 a click to get my ad shown. It's a lot better than making no clicks. And then, you got to be more big picture you think with Google ads, the better off you're going to be. You got to think, what's the price of not getting this thing scaled up quickly so that on year 2, when presumably I'm making $3,000 a month in profit, I'm not making it, and it took me an extra month to get there. You'll make all your money back. What you have to do to get your campaigns going in the beginning, you just have to believe that. And so when it costs money to get things going initially, even if your ads aren't making money yet, you just do what you got to do to get the damn campaign going finally. Manual bidding is the right way to go when you start out, at least of the options that are available to you to get the job done of finally getting seen, so that you can get some data, have the system, Google system, see you're a quality advertiser to get the ball rolling, because until they do, they won't want to show you. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing. How do I get clicks? If Google's not going to give us clicks, and if they don't give us clicks, how are they going to know we're good to want to give us clicks? It's like trying to get a job with no experience. Once you get some clicks, you can finally get some trickling conversions. And then once you get a few of those, you can get to smart bidding, but you can't get the conversions unless you get some clicks. And in order to get some clicks, you need to put the bids real high at the beginning, a lot of times, especially in competitive markets. So that's the main thing that you want to know there. So the goal is to go full circle on this, is to smart bidding as quickly as possible, not be so overly aggressive with it that your campaign's going to start doing less clicks when you switch because you've switched too early. If your campaign doesn't get less clicks because you switched kind of like at the right time, then you're good. It's going to be on the maximize conversions or maximize conversion value bidding strategy for the maximum amount of time for you. And that is your kind of like your sweet spot and when you should switch over. So whether that means you need need 5 conversions, 10, 30, whatever. Well, it'll be different based upon the competitiveness in your market, like I mentioned before. Ultimately, it never hurts to switch over, and if your impressions go down, then you could just switch back. There's no issue in doing that, because sometimes we'll switch over a little bit too soon and that's it. But all in all, if it's a very competitive market, we're going to be looking for 5 to 10 conversions. Moderately or low competitive market, we'll want closer to 30. So that gives you a general idea where we end up most of the time with this and where you should basically switch over. I have some other things I wanted to talk about in regards to this still. Before I do though, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you absolutely should, because all the information you need to be able to become a millionaire running ads for your business is right here on this channel. And I do say that confidently because, we're doing it for our own clients. We have to guarantee clients results. We're doing it every day. For that matter, the information you're getting is coming from the ad strategist that runs all the ad strategy at our firm, and the information is valid as a result. A lot of guys you're going to pay attention to online, like 95+% of them don't run ads as their full-time day job, and therefore they don't really know what's going on. And you can't be an ads expert by reading about it purely. You have to act, you have to do it at least well enough to explain to other people what works or what doesn't work, because stuff sometimes works for some niches and not in others, and you got to do something 50 times before you know how it behaves overall on a generalized basis. And so this is what we have at our agency, because we have dozens of clients at any given time and dozens of ad accounts that we got to get results on, and I'm the one doing all the strategy. So you can't get better information than this. So subscribe if you're serious about making money with ads. Furthermore, you should check out my blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. My blog has step-by-step information on how to actually use the strategies we're using to get results for clients that are firm on a guaranteed basis, with the screenshots, with everything you need to use them. If you like the channel, you should check out the blog. It's got just as good, if not even better, information there as well. By the way, if you have any questions about anything I've covered here so far or unique situations, you can leave me a comment in the comment section. I get back to everybody who leaves me a question in the comment section, or you can reach out to me at my firm and do a coaching session with me. I'll let you know in a 30-minute coaching session what to do. Are you too early, too late in the game? Or if you're just stuck with where you're at with your revenue, I can tell you how to get it unstuck. And maybe it's the bidding strategy, but maybe it's your sales strategy, maybe it's your website. I'm trained at looking at the big picture. I'm able to do this because I work with small business owners all day long and been doing it over a decade or here. If you want me to do that kind of analysis for you to figure out, is your ads the issue, whatever it is, that's stopping you from getting to the next level in your business, I'll be able to tell you definitively on that call already. Beyond that, getting back to what I was saying here, manual bidding makes getting initial traction. If you wanted to get spooled up as quick as possible, you're going to put your manual bids really, really high, and you're going to let the ads run really, really strong at first, then switch over. If you don't have the money, if you will, to, like, let's say you had $500 and you had to make that $500 make money before you run out of the 500, or you're just out of the game, or you're not going to have any more money to try again. In that case, I wouldn't have the bids really high. I would just be super patient. But even then, it's really hard to have your ads get going when your bids are low in a competitive market and you're an unproven advertiser. You may be able to get by with that, but a lot of times you won't. But the key thing is, more money you have to dump into it right away in terms of affording higher bids initially, the quicker it'll get going. The quicker you'll gather data, the quicker the system, assuming your ads are set up the right way, the quicker the system will see you're a good advertiser, and the quicker they'll give you clicks or want to give clicks to you on their own. Machine learning also, though, needs data, okay? And how many clicks you get is based upon the Google's machine learning system, and understanding how good of an advertiser you are compared to the competition, specifically who likes to click on your ads versus other ads. And the same thing happens with the conversion data. So even though smart bidding works the best and gets you in front of people you're optimizing for qualified people, not just any people in general that wants to click on an ad and click happy, you still need a minimum amount of data for the algorithm to actually make some kind of assumptions. And if you don't get any clicks, you can't get any conversion data. So really what you're doing with manual bidding is paying to get the initial conversion data for the system to kickstart the system, if you will. The earlier you switch over to smart bidding, the higher the CPA is going to be needed. Now, this is a very important point here. That is to not prematurely neuter your campaigns. What a lot of guys will do, or gals, they will run their campaign and then they'll switch over to smart bidding. And let's say say their cost per lead or CPA cost is $50 right now. That's what the campaigns had the last 14 days. But they need a CPA cost of $25. So they'll put their campaign at $25 when they switch over to smart bidding because that's what seems obvious to them. The reality is their campaign is probably going to start to lose impressions right away as soon as they do that, or at least a few days after making the switch, because it takes time for the algorithm to realize it can't get that CPA cost. And then suddenly your campaign's worse what it was starting out with manual bidding in terms of clicks, conversions, and all that. If you are in a hyper competitive market, I recommend switching to maximize conversions bidding strategy or conversion value bidding strategy as soon as possible still. I just want to have if we're talking about maximize conversions bidding strategy, set the target CPA really high at first and then slowly lower it. With target ROAS bidding, set it really low at first and then slowly raise it. Because with the other guys having so much data and Google knows them so well, and you're going up against all of that, it's going to take giving the algorithm a wide berth of what results you'll expect to not have your impressions go down when you make that switch. A lot of times in a very, very competitive market, even though my cost per conversion is $50 and I need 25 to be profitable, I'm still going to set it at 65 when I switch it over, just to give the campaign some breathing room so the impressions don't go down. The not very competitive market, I will actually if I need a $25 cost per conversion, I'll just set it to 25 right away. So I go the other way with it. So the more competitive it is, the more liberal the target should be. And the less competitive, the more aggressive the target can be without affecting the campaign impressions and the momentum you already have built up with that campaign that you've built up and paid dearly to get with the manual bidding and the high bids and all that it took to get the campaign off the ground in the first place. I know this stuff is complicated. The best thing to do if you have some momentum with your account already, you've got a certain size company, you're doing like $500,000 a year or more, is to reach out to somebody to do the ads that just do ads all day long. You're never going to be as good as your competition with somebody that just does ads all day long, running their ads, trying to figure it out for yourself. You can get stuff going, you can understand it well enough to hire somebody who is not full of shit, but at a certain point, the person who just specializes in it is going to do the best. And that's just how everything works. So for that matter, our agency will provide a guarantee to increase the profitability of your campaign, get it to a certain minimum level of profitability before taking fees. So if you want results and you'll pay for results, you're happy of paying somebody to do it for you as long as they get results. This is exactly what we do for clients. So reach out to me at my agency if you're interested in talking about that. You can reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. With that said, we also sell ad templates. If we already worked in your market before, you can buy the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates that work for your niche market that we used in a different city or country that you're in, and you could have turnkey results. We've worked in over 100 different niche markets, so the chances are quite high. We've already got the results you're looking for, and you just have to plug and play into your account and you're done. For that matter, a lot of times also though the answer is working with us on a revenue split type of situation. We've for years partnered with what we find is the best opportunities, best companies to work with, where we'll say, hey, we'll invest cash into your company. For ad spend, we'll invest our time and effort in getting you results with the ads itself, managing the ads. In exchange, we'll take 4% of your gross revenue for life, in addition to any revenue that you have now. So if you're doing $1 million a year now, if we take it to 10, we want 4% of the 10, you keep the rest. And ultimately the pie gets to be way bigger than it was before. You're getting a smaller chunk, but you're getting a smaller chunk of a huge pie because we know how to run ads extremely well. And as long as you got something we know we can do well, we're happy to do that. We're going to make the most money in our agency, that model, then pay for services outright, which still is our primary business here. But we're looking for opportunities to do that. If you think you're a good candidate, reach out to me at our firm as well, and I'll talk to you about that. But with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said smart bidding was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.